Greetings, fellow music nerds, and welcome to Season 9 of the Music Makers and Soul Shakers podcast. I am your host, Steve Dawson, coming to you from the Hen House Studio in Nashville, Tennessee. This season, I'll be taking you on a journey down the many rabbit holes in the process of making great music. I'll be speaking to instrumentalists, songwriters, producers, up-and-comers through legendary veterans, and we'll go deep into their history and their process of creating unforgettable music. This podcast continues to be listener-supported. You can help keep the show going with a Patreon subscription, and for as little as a few bucks a month, you'll support the show and get entered into our incredible giveaway that I'll be talking about throughout the season. You can get links to all this at makersandshakerspodcast.com. And if you can't do that, please subscribe for free to the show at Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That helps us out greatly as well. Meanwhile, a huge thanks to the main sponsors this season. Please check them out and let them know I sent you. They are Laravé Guitars, Chase Bliss Pedals, Fab Filter, Odyssey Headphones, Railtown Mastering, Isotope, and the Hen House Hang. We absolutely could not produce this show without them. All right, thanks for tuning in. Let's get down to it with another episode of Music Makers and Soul Shakers. Hey there, music nerds, and welcome to episode number 197. And today on the show, I'm joined by the mighty Nashville session ace, guitar player Andy Reiss. Well, we made it. This is the last, final episode of Season 9. It has been quite the ride. My goal was to focus on Nashville players this season, and while I veered off that track a few times into other territories, we really dug deep into the Nashville scene with some historic players and contemporary players and producers and engineers, and I gotta say, it's been a blast. If you could, please go and subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts. It just takes a second, and it's free, and it really helps me out. And to all those that have subscribed to my Patreon and supported the show with a financial contribution, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. A couple new subscribers this week are Christina Murray and Marcus Belanki. Thank you so much. So from here, stay tuned 1 week from today, and I will do a little wrap-up of the season, talk about what's coming up next and next season, which is going to be happening, and announce the winners of the mighty, crazy contest with the grand prize being a Laravé guitar. There's a pair of Odyssey headphones, Chase Bliss and Union pedals, a Spectra DI, and some other cool swag. That is 1 week from today, so tune in for that. You'll hear the prize winners, whoever you are. And again, just a big old thank you to everyone out there who listened to the show this year, reached out to say hello and supported me doing this, either just by listening and being interested or kicking in some dough to keep the engines running here. Thank you to everyone. All right, let's get into today's episode with the master of taste and tone on the guitar, Mr. Andy Reiss. And before I moved to Nashville, I didn't know Andy's name, but it didn't take long. I started going to see the Time Jumpers when I got here, and they play every Monday night down at 3rd and Lindsley. And for quite a few years there, the band included Vince Gill, Paul Franklin, Ranger Doug, 3 incredible fiddle players, Don Sears on vocals. And Andy was there, always there, just calmly tackling every song, no matter how fast and crazy or slow and soulful. He was usually playing super elegant jazz, blues, bop licks on a Les Paul, sometimes a 335. And it was mind-bending to see Vince Gill and Paul Franklin up close doing what they do. Andy was always a high point of any show for me. He's still doing that gig, and he has for over 20 years now. So make sure you go check the Time Jumpers out if you come through Nashville on a Monday. It is definitely the greatest example of Western swing music being performed live today. And sometime last year, I was playing with my band, the Volcano Brothers, and I looked up from the stage, and there was Andy Reiss in the crowd, and I kind of freaked out because he's one of my favorite guitar players. And we got to talking and hanging out a little bit, and I don't know. Now he's in the band. I don't know how that happened. But he's in the Volcano Brothers now, and we play the first Wednesday of the month at Vinyl Tap in East Nashville. And it sure is exciting to share the stage with that guy. It's very inspiring to watch and hear what he comes up with on all these crazy songs that we play. So Andy started out in San Francisco and made his way to Nashville in around 1980, where he got to work with a number of the original Nashville A-Team session players, folks like Pete Drake, Harold Bradley, Bob Moore, Ray Edenton, and Pig Robbins. People that I know of as legends. Andy was around them from day one after moving here. He spent a good deal of time on the road with artists like Reba McIntyre and Slim Whitman, and he's played on hundreds of records for artists like Miranda Lambert, Willie Nelson, Kenny Rogers, and Leon Russell. Andy's on social media a little bit. He does not have a website that I'm aware of, so you're just going to have to go see him play, either with the Time Jumpers on Monday nights at 3rd and Lindsley here in Nashville, or with my band, the Volcano Brothers, the first Wednesday of the month at Vinyl Tap in East Nashville. Andy's a fascinating guy, super knowledgeable about blues and jazz and guitar and arch tops and all kinds of awesome stuff. So we're going to get into all that today. All right, let's get down to it. Enjoy my conversation with Andy Reiss. I didn't know about you before I moved here, and I moved here 14 years ago, and I've been a huge fan of you ever since. You know, like seeing the Time Jumpers is where I first saw you, and
Very good.
I'm sure many people did. That was their Andy Reiss intro. And, you know, to me, you personify this, like, this moment of Nashville that's, like, kind of idealized in, I think, a lot of people's mind. My mind, probably your mind a little bit, too.
Definitely.
I want to talk about the Andy Reiss saga, but I also want to talk about, like, some of these guys that you were fortunate enough to work with in the early days, because a lot of the people that I've talked to knew of them or had some peripheral dealing with them, but like you worked a lot with Harold Bradley and
Yes.
Pig Robbins and the first generation A-Team, and I think Pete Drake too, right?
Pete Drake was kind of my first mentor when I moved to town. I had some friends, Larry and Bobby Black. Bobby was a steel guitar player. His brother Larry was a guitar player. Brilliant musicians who were friends and sort of mentors to me back in California. The first time I saw a number chart, I did a session for Larry playing acoustic, and he gave me a number chart. I'm like, what is this? And then it just made sense. It was easy to follow. So I'm amazed people could write books about that. But anyway, they were friends with Pete, so I had a introduction of sorts. And
so what year did you move here? 1980. Man, so that was really like, in my mind, those were the years, like between like the late 70s and probably 82, 83.
Yeah, things were changing then. The original A-Team owned the 60s.
Yeah.
And by the 80s, there were definitely a lot of other influences coming in, people from Memphis, people from Muscle Shoals.
Right.
And that was good.
Yeah. Yeah, it needed
I mean,
the
original guys were absolute geniuses in my book.
So tell me a bit about Pete Drake. Like, I've never heard anyone talk about him firsthand.
Well, Pete was kind of a weird little guy, but I'm going to get killed for that. But he was brilliant. He was really smart. He really understood everything about being a session player. And as a musician, he really was a perfect session player. And people mocked him for a while because he was so restrained in his playing, but I think people now are starting to really appreciate him because you listen to records he played on, everything he played was perfect for the record. I remember one night we used to hang out late in the studio because he'd go home about 3 a.m, so he had what he called the Drake School of Music, which was people hanging out there, and Paul Franklin was there before me, and Bill Hollett and I were there kind of simultaneously, but Bill spent a lot more time there. But anyway, one night Pete said, Bill, set up Goldie, which was his gold Showbud steel guitar. And he proceeded to play for us, just the two of us, all these intros he'd played. Gary Stewart, Tammy Wynette, all these incredible things. And every one of them was a hook that you knew, because that was back in the day when they had hooks on records.
Yeah.
And it was just an unbelievable experience.
So he was just sort of plowing through song after song.
It's like he played, here's what I played on this Gary Stewart record. Here's what I played on this Tammy Wynette record. And we're like, oh, my God. Wow. I wish I'd had a video of that.
So when you met him, like in 80 or early 80s or whatever, was he still producing?
He was producing a lot.
And not playing probably at that point?
Oh, he was playing too.
He was? Okay.
Yeah, he was very busy. He had a publishing company.
Oh, right.
And he produced, and the whole Drake School of Music thing was you could be a fly on the wall when he produced sessions.
What do you mean? Like you could set that up officially?
No. You would just be in the control room while they cut.
Yeah.
And all the guys expected that because that's how Pete was. And so I got to see all the A-Team work fairly regularly. B.J. Thomas records, Slim Whitman records. And then Pete threw me in on a record, and that was the Slim Pickens record that I've talked about before. That was me and Bill Hullett, Jerry Kerrigan on drums, Bob Moore on bass.
Whoa.
Pete playing steel, Pete Wade playing electric, Pig, the Jordanaires, Buddy Spiker.
Dude.
And Charlie McCoy.
Holy crap.
And
that must have felt like 1958 all over again.
It did. And I was terrified because here I am with these guys. I'd heard these names for 20 years, you know.
Yeah. Now, you said he threw you in there.
Oh, he had me play rhythm.
But you weren't like, he just was like, hey, you.
No, he told me I was going to.
Okay.
So I had a D28 back then. And we cut America the Beautiful with Slim Pickens.
Whoa. Was that your first Nashville session?
It was.
That's crazy.
And Slim he recited, "Oh, beautiful for spacious skies." It was amazing. It never came out, unfortunately.
Really? You saw all those guys in action quite regularly?
Yes.
As a player, as well as they would just bring you in to watch sessions? Or
Yeah. I mean, basically I'd be in the control room, or sometimes I'd go on the floor.
And it was Pete inviting you in to do that?
Yes.
Be there watching that?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was how I met Harold Bradley. He used Harold a lot.
Yeah.
And
how old would Harold have been at that point? Like in his 60s?
50s.
50s, okay. And he was still going strong?
He was going strong.
Yeah.
And
what was he like?
Harold was kind of the epitome of the Southern gentleman. Very dignified, but very warm and friendly. And we hit it off immediately for one reason or another. So, I would help. He had an Oldsmobile, and he had with a huge trunk, and he'd have like 15 guitars in the trunk. So I'd help him carry all that crap out. Everything from Dan Electros to Strombergs,
Was he playing a lot of archtop at that point, or
He was playing some archtop, mostly tic-tac.
Oh, really? Okay.
And some straight rhythm guitar.
Yeah.
Like he had a 50s D-18 that he played like on a farewell party. Gene Watson, a lot of those records. Freddie Hart, Easy Lovin', he played acoustic on that.
Wow. So it sounds like that experience kind of led to you actually working in the studios, right? Like just kind of being there and getting to know those guys?
I got to know those guys, and I got to see how they worked, and it gave me an idea of, what's expected of you, how you behave, all that sort of thing, because there's a certain decorum, or at least there was then.
What were some of the takeaways of that?
To always be respectful, to be assertive when needed and lay back when needed, which is always difficult,
Were they all, like, even after they had that reputation of being just like the top players, were they all still receptive to the producer's requests, or were they kind of like, I'm Pig Robbins and I'm
No, they were definitely responsible, at least to Pete, because Pete was one of them,
Right.
I didn't see that much of those guys working with other producers, but I worked a lot with Harold as a producer, because he produced a lot of stuff too.
Yeah.
And people were always very respectful and deferential to him. And he was always very specific about what he wanted.
Like, what would you have worked with him specifically on if he was producing and you were playing? Would you generally have been playing second guitar with him? Is that the idea?
Yeah.
Okay. So what would that look like?
Well, acoustic a lot, playing rhythm, or playing electric too. He thought he liked the fact that I was more modern and California and a little rock and roll, which is pretty funny because I'm not rock and roll at all, But compared to him,
But were you back then? Like, were you a bit more rock and roll back then?
I really wasn't. No.
Okay. You've just never had that in you.
No, it's just weird growing up in San Francisco, seeing the Grateful Dead in the airplane all the time. You would think that would be part of me, but
it probably snuck in there somehow.
I mean, it definitely did, and I'm certainly aware of it. And I can play, I can play rock and roll, but the music I loved was always mostly black music, really, soul music and jazz, blues, very much blues, and then. My brother and I, we didn't have a TV growing up, so we'd listen to the radio all the time. And we heard this country music, and we thought it was hilarious at first. And before long, we were just loving it, And a lot of that was probably the pedal steel guitar really brought us into that.
Were they playing, like, would you have been hearing mostly like Bakersfield stuff or Nashville stuff, or a mix of everything?
A mix of everything, but very heavy on the Haggard back then.
Okay.
And the Buck Owens.
Right, right. Yeah, because that would be dominating the airwaves on the
It
West
really
Coast
was,
for sure. Yeah.
And what great music.
And did you see some of that stuff too?
Yeah, when I was 14, I think, my brother and I took a Greyhound bus from San Francisco to Sacramento to go to the State Fair and see Buck Owens and the Buckaroos.
Wow.
And that band was the classic band, Willie Cantu, who's been a friend for years.
Yeah.
Doyle Hawley, Don Rich, Tom Brumley, and Buck.
Dang.
The band. And I was so in love with that music because it was aggressive,
What year would that be? Like 66?
That would have been, 66, 67.
So they're just like firing on all cylinders.
They owned the world
Dang.
back then. They really did. And they were just great.
Yep. I still stand by that band being like one of the greatest American ensembles in any genre. Like, there's just something about, like, when you hear those live records, like the Japan one and the
Carnegie Hall one,
and they're just, the Japan one I find really interesting because they're like a little looser on that one.
Yeah.
But and improvising a bit more, and Willie Cantu's playing a little more outside the box of what he's kind of supposed to do, I think. And
he had such an interesting style playing with them.
Yeah, he did.
Because he was like 15, I think, or 16 when he got the gig with them.
That's right. Yeah. I've had him on this show. We talked about that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a great guy. I played with him in California. In Fremont, there was a nightclub called the Niles Country Music Hall. And there was a band called Rich Whitewater and the Distant Drums. And Willie and I were in that band.
Really?
It was really fun.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you grew up in San Francisco, like proper San Francisco?
Yeah, right in the middle.
Okay. And were you like, was it a musical upbringing at all, or?
My parents were both passionate music lovers. My father loved classical music, mostly Mahler, Bruckner, really serious stuff.
Yeah.
But he liked jazz too, and he owned a record store.
Oh.
So
that's handy.
Bring home demonstration records and weird stuff, and he had a few jazz records. And I remember when I was a kid, he had the Charles Mingus album, Mingus
Love that record. That's one of the best-sounding jazz records.
It's one of the best
time.
records ever made, period. And I listened to it as a kid and loved it. It didn't scare me because I didn't know how hard it was, which it scares me a little now.
Yeah.
But I think that was one reason I learned to love jazz was I heard it I heard it before I was a musician, so I wasn't scared of it,
Right. It was just an experience at that point.
Just another language.
Yeah. And were you drawn to the guitar right away, or did you play other things first?
No, I played piano first.
Oh, yeah?
But I wasn't any good.
Like classical lessons or whatever?
Yeah, there was a piano teacher up the street, an old Russian woman, and I remember one time my brother had learned a boogie-woogie thing, and he played it for her, and she hated it because it wasn't written down. If you'd make a mistake, she'd hit your hand, hit the errant finger. So that wasn't good.
That's one way to learn.
Yeah, but I was very young. I was 7, 8 or so.
So you gave that up?
I gave it up.
And what got you to the guitar?
Well, that was kind of the great folk scare, and some of my parents' friends had guitars, and they'd have parties, and they'd play guitar, and they were terrible. And I knew it then,
Yeah.
So I kind of thought, well, I could do better than that.
But were you into, like, was jazz still the thing for you, or were you kind of like digging the San Francisco scene?
That was really before the whole San Francisco scene really took off. So I was really into the Ventures.
Oh, okay.
And all that kind of stuff. So that made the guitar really the instrument to have.
Right.
And my parents made me save up to buy my first guitar.
What was it? What'd you get?
A Silvertone,
nice.
flat top, $12.95.
Did you get it from Sears?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, we had to go down to the store and pick it up. It was after ordering it, it was great.
So an acoustic?
Yeah.
Okay.
Real good junk, but it was playable, so it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
And then my dad went.
Did you take lessons or anything, or?
No, I didn't. I was self-taught, but it came pretty easy for me.
Like what? What did you start with? Like folky country chords and stuff?
Yeah, strumming chords and figuring that out. And then I keep talking about my brother, who was an influence on me then. He's 3 years older than me, so he progressed a little faster. And then
so he was playing too.
Yeah, he was playing too. He started actually a little after me and then got better faster, but then I won that race.
Slow and steady. Yeah. Was there like a band or anything when you were when you were at that stage, or were you just kind of like a bedroom?
By the time I hit junior high school, I was in a band, and I've been in a text stream lately with a bunch of these guys I was playing with back then.
Yeah, you can have a little reunion.
Possibly. They all still live in San Francisco.
Okay.
But we had a band called the Resourceful Moth.
That's so San Francisco.
And we played the Herbert Hoover Junior High School Battle of the Bands in my first year there.
Nice.
And we lost, of course, but we played Hey Joe and Foxy Lady. I know this stuff because these guys remember all this. I never would have remembered any of it.
So you knew all the stuff. Like you knew the Hendrix tunes and the licks and all that. You did spend time with that music.
I did. And these guys say I was a prodigy or something then. I don't know.
I'm sure you were.
And then the second year, I had the California Uptight Oatmeal Processing Company. And we were like a blues band.
Okay.
And we lost. And then the third year, I joined the band that won both those other years.
Uh-huh. And what was that called?
I don't remember what it was called, but it was with a couple of musicians I'm still in touch with.
Oh, really?
A great piano player in New York named Jeff Pitson, and a great bass player named Retzo Harris.
And what were you guys playing?
Jeff was a superstar because he could play Light My Fire, note for note.
Okay.
He had a little box organ, So, God, he was God to us back then. He really was an amazing musician and still is.
Okay. Wow. And so that was like all through high school you played with that band? And
Well, that was junior high school.
Okay.
And then in high school, I don't know. I think I just jammed with people in high school more than had a regular band.
Yeah. So what was your first like real band?
Gosh, I don't know.
Or did you just kind of not do that?
I didn't really do the band thing so much.
Yeah.
For some reason, I always thought I wanted to be a sideman. And there was a really active country western scene in the Bay Area back then. San Jose, San Leandro, Fremont, the whole area. There was probably 15 or 20 full-time 5 or 6, 7-night-a-week bar gigs.
Wow.
So there were a lot of people playing music back then.
Yep.
That's where I met Larry and Bobby Black. And some really great players back then. And I don't really remember what my first gig in that scene was. It may have been at the 23 Club, actually. And I started playing with those people. And my friend Joe Goldmark was a pedal steel player back then. He was quite active in the scene. And then actually the very first gig I had, we had a starving rock and roll band right out of high school. We were living in a condemned house playing rock and roll. I worked at a snack bar at a university and would bring home the used corn dogs and shit, and that's what we lived on.
Oh, so you did do that thing.
I did do that thing.
Okay.
That band was called the Willies with a guy named Doc West and my friend Mike Stobie on drums.
Okay.
And then Mike got a gig with a drag queen named Randy Lee,
Okay.
which was a real gig, playing on Broadway in San Francisco 5 nights a week. Paid $175, which was really good money back then.
Yep.
We're talking 70, 71. And I got the gig playing bass with her.
Okay.
Him, her. And it was really good. We played like show tunes, cabaret. We did most of the musical cabaret. And
it was like a full night, like a show.
Oh, yeah. There were dancers and a comedian. Okay. I mean, it was a review. It was really cool.
That's a good way to get your chops together.
It really was.
Yeah.
And I had to work really hard to be able to cut it, and it was good.
Okay, and what kind of style were you playing? Like like rhythm guitar parts?
I was playing bass.
Oh, you were bass.
I had a fretless precision bass.
Really? Okay.
That's long gone. It was a piece of junk.
What about your guitars at that point? Had you started buying electric guitars?
I play guitar in a band, then I play bass in a band. I kind of float back and forth, and I really couldn't afford a good guitar and a good bass, so I did a lot of swapping back then. And I always liked precision basses. I had a couple of great jazz basses. 335 out of black Gibson Trini Lopez.
Oh, cool.
Which was an awful guitar.
Really?
But boy, did it look good.
Yeah, those look amazing.
Worth a fortune today.
Yeah.
Then I got my friend Fat Danny had a Telecaster that was a 53 neck. and a 59 custom body, the bound body.
Yeah, cool.
And somehow or another, I got that from him, and that was a keeper for me.
You had that for a while?
I had that for a long time.
I don't think I've ever seen you play a
No,
Charlie.
I don't have it now. But I traded it for my blue Strat that I've had forever, probably in '81, right after I moved to town.
Okay. I've never seen you play a Strat either.
It happens.
And what about the jazz playing? Like, was that something you were able to explore yet, or not really?
I was really into B.B. King, Albert King. Albert's probably still my favorite guy on earth. But I just wanted a little more. And I kept reading Guitar Player magazine. They all talk about, that interview with Joe Pass and Herb Ellis, all those guys. And every one of them said it all starts with Charlie Christian. And then...
including B.B. King. He's like he was a big Charlie Christian
absolutely.
guy.
And then they came out with the Charlie Christian box set.
Yeah.
And I bought that, and it was just...
so that was the thing for you?
That was
Charlie
the thing
Christian
for me.
thing
It was
like,
really obsessive.
That kind of like had everything that you loved about
it
music
really
all
did.
wrapped into one.
Yeah, because he was a blues guy too, really.
Right.
He had a very aggressive tone, aggressive player, but great, clever lines.
Fearless improviser.
Very much. And you could hear a lot of his playing in BB's 50s work, you know. And then from there, I got into Kenny Burrell's probably my very favorite guy.
Yeah.
Joe Pass, I got to see a lot in the Bay Area, and I loved his playing. Barney Kessel, of course. All those traditional
Barney
guys.
playing live a lot?
Not in the Bay Area. I didn't get to see Barney play live.
Okay. Never?
Never.
Okay. He was mostly doing studio.
Yeah, I mean, he did do... Actually, I did get to see him here in Nashville. He did a great guitar show.
Oh, wow.
With, I think it was Herb Ellis and Charlie Bird.
Wow, that would have been cool.
Yeah.
Dang.
And I've always loved Barney's playing, just guts and soul. And
yeah, he's incredible. Those solo records are really something else.
And he was the absolute watermark or the benchmark, I should say, for jazz guitar at that point in time.
Right. And so were you like sitting down and figuring that stuff out?
Yeah.
You were?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Off record?
Yeah, off records. I've never been a good reader. So I'd learn solos off records over and over again.
Yeah.
Still do it today.
Yeah. Me too. And your big ones for that were Barney Kessel, Charlie Christian.
Kenny Burrell.
Kenny Burrell, right. Yeah, all those guys were sort of in the same era.
They were.
Well, not Charlie Christian. But.
No, Charlie was the predecessor. But I really loved still do, the intersection of blues and jazz.
Yep.
That's what I really love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What about Albert King? He was around the Bay Area quite a bit, wasn't he?
I saw Albert King all the time.
He seemed to almost always be playing the Fillmore and opening for the Who and shit like that.
Albert was my god, pretty much.
Did you ever meet him?
I met him once.
I met him once.
He was very indifferent to meeting me.
Me too.
But
he signed my guitar though.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw him probably 10 or 12 times because I loved him so much. I'd go hear him anywhere he played.
Yeah.
Because he had just the pocket, the tone, very graceful playing, but very powerful playing.
Yeah.
He had everything to me, still does.
Yeah.
I just love his playing.
Yeah.
And the stuff he did with Booker T and the MGs.
So heavy.
Desert Island Records for sure.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever heard you bend a note, so.
I do. But if I had, my top 5 guitar players, it's going to vary, of course, according to what I'm listening to at the moment. But Albert and Kenny Burrell are always going to be in my top 5, always. So I went to Winterland, I think it was 1969, to see Albert. And I decided to stay and see the closing act. It was this guy I'd been hearing about. Oh, this was earlier. This was 1967 or 1968. John Mayall was the middle act, and that was after Albert. There was like nothing.
Yeah.
But the closing act was Jimi Hendrix.
Okay.
And he was phenomenal.
I bet. So what year? 67?
I'm not sure exactly.
Like, was the first record out?
Yeah, the first record was out. People were talking about him, but kind of peripherally. He wasn't.
He wasn't a mega star yet.
I don't think so.
Okay. How was that show?
It was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
He really freaked me out. It was such a new approach to everything. He just opened up the guitar in ways no one could imagine.
But still, like, totally grounded in that Albert King thing.
Absolutely.
Like, what an amazing night. Oh, my God.
Yeah, because he was definitely grounded in Albert and Curtis Mayfield quite strongly.
For sure. Wow, incredible. They didn't play together, did they?
No, they didn't. That would have been
Seems
something.
like an oversight.
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe they did in the dressing room or something.
Albert was probably like gone the second he got off stage.
I bet he was. I wonder what he thought about Hendrix.
He probably not much.
I wouldn't think so.
Wait, they're both lefties, I guess, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. I hadn't thought about that. But Albert played upside down.
But they both did. But you mean string-wise?
String-wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he pulls the bends, right?
He had some really weird tuning he used. I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He wasn't in standard tuning?
No.
Whoa, trippy. Okay, so did you have a jazz band ever in San Francisco?
I played a lot. I didn't have a jazz band, but I used to play a lot with a couple guys. There was a guy who played piano and cello named Doug Harmon, who was really great. I played with him. I played with Rat Sosa, who I mentioned. Trying to remember some of the other guys. Ernie Mansfield, the saxophone player back there.
All Bay Area guys?
Yeah. And I didn't get too deep in the jazz scene there, but we'd play together quite a lot. And, I was still learning and putting all that together.
Right. Yeah. That doesn't come from nowhere.
No, it takes a lot of work.
Yeah. So the country thing was like really your bread and butter.
It really was.
And were you making a living?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you could make...
Doing like the 5-nighter, 6-nighter country thing, and plus the show tunes with the drag.
Well, that was at different times. But
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you'd make, in the 70s, you'd make $250, something like that.
Yeah.
Then I went on the road for a while with a country singer named Lenny Nast, who was great. He was a real Johnny Paycheck kind of singer.
Okay.
And boy, did I learn a lot from him. Bass, drums, guitar, and him singing and playing rhythm guitar. And we played Fallon and all these little towns, Hawthorne, all the little towns in Nevada,
Yep.
And we played in Elko, Nevada, and the IRS closed down the club we were playing. So we're stuck in Elko. You've got, 10 minutes to get your shit out of the club.
Whoa.
But he got another gig there, and we stayed there for about a year.
In
Elko, Nevada.
Elko, Nevada.
Which was a really very strange year.
Why?
Because it was work.
There was just a bunch of clubs there?
There was one club we played at.
Whoa, for a year.
Yeah, and we'd play pretty much from sundown to sunup.
Whoa, crazy.
Paying the dues.
Yeah, no doubt.
But it wasn't, the jazz or the country houses, it was like Leon Rhodes and Roy Nichols and all that stuff.
So was that the style you were playing with him?
Yeah, but he didn't like it. And one day he said, Andy, you're not listening to anything I do, are you? And I said, oh, no, of course I am, And it really hurt me. And I sat down and thought about it, and I realized he was right. I was just playing guitar. I wasn't playing music. I wasn't playing in the band. Mm-hmm. And I came around.
Tough lesson.
It was a great lesson.
Did that change what you...
It completely changed the way I played, yeah.
In what way? You just kind of like put your thing aside and just like...
I tried to be the guy in the band making that song work.
And did that require a stylistic shift away from like the Leon Rhodes thing?
Oh, definitely, definitely, yeah.
And what was he wanting? He just wanted more straight up country?
Yeah, Waylon and Paycheck and real straight up, yeah.
How long had he let that simmer before he said something? A year?
Probably half a year, yeah.
Wow. And then overnight you just managed to kind of like...
Well, it took a while.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I definitely went from thinking, I'm killing this shit, to, he hates everything I'm doing. Pretty funny.
How did you feel about we've talked about the intersection of blues and jazz being like a favorite kind of touchstone of yours. What about country and jazz? Like that whole thing with Leon Rhodes and Bob Wills and...
Well, some of the first country I heard that really hit my ear was Leon Rhodes and the Texas Troubadours, and that stuff was just incredible. And then Haggard came out with the tribute to the best damn fiddle player in the world, his Bob Wills album. And I was not really aware of that music before then, and that record just freaked me out. It was so great. And I thought Tiny Moore was playing guitar, and of course he was playing mandolin. But when my brother and I went to see Buck Owens at the State Fair, Tiny Moore had a small booth and was playing up there.
What?
And this was right after that record came out. So I knew the record and I knew who he was. And he was just amazed that these two hippie kids knew who he was.
What do you mean he had a booth? Like
he just had a little booth at the fair selling records and whatnot, instruction manuals, I think.
Oh, so he wasn't playing?
He was playing too, yeah.
Okay. But it was like It was like
just the booth in the fair.
sales booth.
It's so weird.
Whoa.
And there's, one of the greatest musicians who ever lived.
Yeah. Crazy, man.
So, yeah, I love that board of the Texas Troubadours and the Bob Wills stuff was jazz and country together, and blues too, really,
Yeah, I mean, that seems like that would be a high mark for you as well.
It really was.
Yeah.
I played a lot in the Bay Area with a guy named Don Burnham, who had my last few years there, we did a lot of Western swing and stuff like that.
Okay, so you did get into Western swing at that point too.
Yeah.
Okay. And did you, is that where you kind of like got all that repertoire under your fingers, so you got to know all those tunes? Because those are tricky tunes. It's like the Volcano Brothers tunes. Like they're easy on the surface, but there's like a lot of
really
weird shit going on.
Oh no, what's going on? Yeah.
Yeah, some of those Western swing tunes are like really intricate when you start actually trying to play them.
Yeah, so many of them are like modulate to the 5 for the bridge, and then you have to know exactly where it's going.
Yeah.
Of course, Haggard tunes were like that too.
Right.
They're all like these weird little intricate road maps, and they all go different places. And
yeah. So what was your path to Nashville? Like, at what point did you think that would be something that you wanted to pursue?
I was playing regularly in the Bay Area clubs and making decent living. I was married to a Southern girl, and we just started talking about wanting more. And I really wanted to be a studio musician, and
so that was
more
a goal.
of a professional sideman, and you had 3 choices back then, New York, L.A., or Nashville. And she was from the South, and I had introductions to people here, so this seemed like the logical step.
And what was your move? Like, did you just move here and hope for the best, or did you have a...
Oh, no. We just loaded up 2 dogs and a cat and all our shit in a van and drove.
Yeah. And where'd you end up, like, living and stuff?
Well, through introductions from Larry and Bobby, we met a guy named Hoyt Henry, who was very active in that scene years before I was there. Played at Cowtown. He was a saxophone player, bass player, singer, songwriter, really, really wonderful man. And we called Hoyt when we hit town. He said, "Come on over." So we went over to his house. He said, "Where are you guys staying?" We said, "I wouldn't have a place yet." "Oh, stay here." So we stayed at his house for a week or 2.
Yeah.
His wife was a real estate agent, took us around and bought our house a couple blocks from where he was.
Wow. What part of town was that?
Woodbine.
Okay. And, I mean, it was probably super cheap back then, too, right?
Yeah, I paid
compared to San Francisco.
$30,000 for my house.
Dang.
It's
Yeah.
worth a little more now.
Yeah, I bet.
It's still in it.
So that's the same place you have?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. You've never moved?
Never moved.
That's crazy.
And I don't want to ever move.
Yeah. Wow. So that was like 1980.
Yeah.
And give me just a little snapshot of Nashville in 1980.
Music Row was Music Row back then.
Yep.
There were 1 and 2
That's
high-rises
still where
back
all
then.
the studios were.
Oh, yeah, everything was down
focused.
there then.
Berry Hill was
except
not.
For Berry Hill did not exist. I mean, it existed, but it wasn't a studio center at all. It was a pretty insular scene, There was the guys.
Yeah.
And, of course, there were other guys as well, but you had, a dozen guitar players who were really making a living playing back then.
So Ray Edenton.
Ray Edenton, Jimmy Capps.
Oh, Jimmy Capps, right?
Pete Wade, Grady Martin, Harold. And then some of the younger guys, Dale Sellers, Pete Bordenelli. There's a bunch more.
Did you ever meet Grady Martin?
I never met Grady Martin.
Did you ever see him?
I saw him, yeah. He was kind of a frightening guy.
I bet.
Him and Bob Moore were both very alpha men.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine. Grady Martin seems larger than life to me.
Oh, he is. And he was, to me, the ultimate genius of studio guitar playing.
Yeah. So he was still working?
Oh, quite a bit.
At that point?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think that was maybe 5 years before he started playing with Willie and moved to Texas and all that.
Yeah. So studio-wise on Music Row, what was Compass called back then? Hillbilly Central?
I don't know.
Okay. So what were I guess RCA, like Chet's Room was going strong.
Yeah.
B, was it shut down or was it open?
B was happening.
Columbia. Ocean Way wasn't there, obviously.
Didn't exist then. Pete had his own studio, Pete's Place. Woodland was big.
Oh, right. Woodland was going strong. Yeah. What about the Quonset hut? Was it happening?
I'm not sure what's going on there. I think they built around it. We're still using it, but I never worked there.
Okay.
And Cinderella was happening.
Oh, yeah.
And there are a couple of places here and there, like...
What about Quad and Omni and those kind of places?
I think Omni was, or Quad rather, was... no, Omni was Marty Robbins' studio then.
That's right, yeah. Bill Vorndick was running it, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you started working in the studios, where was your sort of haunts? Music Row places?
Music Row mostly, yeah.
Yeah.
Jerry Shook had a place called the Shook Shack. I ended up working there a lot.
Yeah. Like, were you generally playing more acoustic or more electric, or what was your deal?
It would just depend.
Anything.
Either one, yeah.
Did you have a huge collection of stuff? You've always had you've been into guitars
I've
for a
always
long
loved
time.
guitars, yeah. But back then I had a Tele Strat, a 335, a D28, a 6-string bass. That might be it, or pretty close.
So if you had a session, would you roll in with everything?
I'd bring everything, yeah.
Did you have cartage?
No.
So you just show up
with
all your stuff?
Yeah, because, that was the way Harold did it. That's what I learned. You keep all that shit in your trunk, you haul it in,
Yeah. And sessions in those days, were they similar to now? Like, were they 3-hour calls? And
Yeah,
okay.
Same thing.
Very, very union-centric.
Yeah. And
in an average session, you'd go through 3, 4, 5 tunes?
Usually, yeah. It would depend. The most I ever did, there was a guy named Ramsey Kearney who did song poems. Send your song poem to Nashville. Uh-huh. And then we'd record them, and it was pretty great. He had 2 melodies, and he crammed the poem into one melody or the other. But we cut every song individually. And one time we did 35 songs in a 3-hour session.
Oh, my God.
Including a 20-minute coffee break.
Wow. How is that even possible?
Well, you had to make a pretty serious mistake to do it twice,
Oh, my God. That is crazy.
That was with... I was playing bass. Doyle Grisham was playing steel and guitar, and Jan Jones playing drums.
Yeah. And so were you making a living doing studio work only then?
It wasn't much of a living, but yeah.
But I guess around here it was like cheap to live. And
it was cheap to live, yeah.
You could kind of do it and make it happen.
And then Harold approached me and said that Slim Whitman was needing a guitar player. The second guitar player they had got fired.
For his road band.
And he said, would I be interested? And I'm like, yeah, certainly.
So tell me about that gig.
Well, I went and auditioned and got the gig, of course. It was Billy West on drums, John Cornell on bass, Bill Wentz on piano, Jimmy Crawford on steel guitar, and Harold and I on guitars. Mm-hmm. And
so Harold was going on the road?
Yeah, Harold was on the road.
Weird.
Because him and Slim...
Why?
Well, they'd made records since 1948 together,
Oh, so he was just doing... Slim was his only thing he would do on the road.
Yeah. Well, no, he played with Floyd Kramer as well.
Really? Wow, I didn't know he ever did road work.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Harold on the road was pretty interesting.
Yeah, why?
Well, he just had his way of doing things, you know. He sat down, he read charts. I remember one time we were playing...
You mean on stage with Slim Whitman?
Oh,
He's
yeah.
sitting down reading charts. Wow.
And he wanted me to as well, so I did.
Really?
And I remember one time we were in Dublin in a really small stage, and Harold had to stand up, which freaked him out. And
Did he own a strap?
Yeah, he had a strap. And he had one of those, crappy wire music stands, and Slim stepped back and knocked his music over. So the music's all over the floor. So Harold had to play standing up without reading. And he knew the tunes. We'd been playing them for years,
right.
you know.
And could he do it?
Yeah, he was great.
I bet. But he went back to reading charts the next night.
There are guys like that who would just want that safety net, you know?
Maybe it was like an aesthetic thing, too, and he just wanted to look like a studio musician.
That probably was true.
What was that gig like for you? Like, were you playing solos, electric guitar? Or
Yeah, we did. I was playing electric, Harold was playing electric, and we had a lot of twin parts worked out. It was pretty arranged.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Is there a recording of that anywhere?
I don't think so.
You didn't make a live record or anything like that?
No, but there is some stuff on YouTube. We played the Wembley Festival.
Yeah. How was Slim Whitman to work for?
He was great.
Was he?
I mean, on stage, he could be a real jerk.
Oh, really?
Damn it, Andy.
Like just demanding.
Yeah, but then afterwards he'd say, I just get nervous. I'm sorry. I didn't mean anything. He was always really sweet.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's like a persona.
Yeah.
Really? That's funny.
I think it was just nerves on his part. You know, could get very nervous. He was interesting. He would sing the entire show before the show, a whole step up.
Like as a warm-up?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Okay. Well, that's one way to do it.
It worked for him.
I can see how, like he would go through the entire thing?
The entire show.
Dang.
And they were long shows.
Wow.
But they're great because we usually played, 2,000, 2,500 seat theaters.
So he was still big.
We did England, we did Australia. We do one a year. We do a month a year.
Okay.
One or the other.
Yeah.
And it was great. He had that magic charisma where people just could not look at him and he listened to him.
Yeah. Wow. What an experience. And that gig lasted for a couple of years?
I did about 10 years because it was easy. It was, a month a year pretty much.
Wow.
And it paid well and for the time.
Yeah.
And it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Wow. And is that what led to the Reba gig?
No, I had one friend in Reba's band. That was Pete Finney.
You knew Pete from just around here, like playing gigs and stuff, or sessions, or what?
Yeah, we were playing. I don't even really remember what, but we played a fair amount together. We were good friends.
Yeah.
I mean, how could you not be friends with Pete?
Yeah.
And Reba had the big plane crash.
Yeah, so
And Pete,
for anyone that doesn't know, like she wasn't on the plane, but her band was on the plane.
There were two planes or three planes, I don't remember exactly, but most of the band was on one plane that went right into a mountainside. Horrible, horrible.
Did you know any of those guys?
I did not.
Okay. And Pete was on the other plane?
Pete and Joe McGlowan were on the other plane.
Dang.
And, I mean, I don't think neither one of them ever got over that.
Yeah, I could tell. So that was in the middle of a tour?
Yeah, they were in San Diego, I think.
And so they actually like put out the call to like get a new band?
Well, I heard the news and I called Pete to see if he was okay, you know. And amazingly, he was. It was really freaky. And he said they got a million calls from people saying, hey, how are you doing? Hey, when you need somebody.
Oh, my God.
And they wrote all those names on a list and never called them.
Yeah.
And I never considered the idea of working for Reba was just totally foreign to me. And then a couple of weeks went by and Pete said, you want an audition? I said, okay, why not? And they had a band of the people who they were going to hire and then another band of the people just in case.
Oh.
And
did you know other people in the band?
No.
Or I guess there wasn't a band.
There wasn't. So I learned all the Reba songs, and she had recorded Sunday Kind of Love by Etta James.
Oh, yeah.
And they said, after we're done playing all the Reba songs, they said, I'm just want to throw this out there. You want to try and play that song? And it's bluesy jazz. That's my meat,
Yeah, come on.
So
Bring
that's
it
what
on.
got me the gig, I think.
Oh, just playing that song.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the rest of her stuff, it was pretty like commercial country.
Very commercial
right?
country. It was the
tell me
belly
about-
of the beast, so to speak.
Like, was that a big switch? Like, obviously it was.
It really was. We had to.
Was it hard for you? I mean, musically it would be easy for you.
Musically,
but like,
it was certainly not hard.
but just like the restraint of it and the way you'd have to play every night.
Yeah, I mean, it was different than the Slim gig, which was also, obviously it's constrained and you're playing the arrangements, and this was that too. But there's a lot of microscope on you on that gig,
Because she would be huge at that point.
She was huge. Yeah, we were playing 20. I went from 2,500 seats to 25,000 seats routinely.
Oh my God.
And we went direct and used in-ears.
What? In what year was this?
91.
You're using in-ears in 91?
Yeah, it was not good technology.
With, you mean no amp?
No amp.
Ooh.
I used the Korg A3.
I don't even know what that is. I don't think I want to.
It was a multi-effects device, back then.
But just from that direct into a console or something?
Yeah, right. Kind of the equivalent of a Kemper today, maybe,
But did they have, they didn't have anything that they could do an amp sim with that at that point?
Oh, I had
or was there like a Sans
I
amp
had
or
red
something?
boxes.
Okay.
I ran out of the Korg A3 into two red boxes.
And those would sort of like warm up the sound?
Theoretically.
Theoretically, yeah.
But between that and the in-ears, I really had no idea what it sounded like, you know.
Was there any stage volume at all?
No.
Dang. Drummer, I guess.
Drummer.
Whoa. Weird. So uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Did it ever get comfortable?
No, it never got comfortable.
Okay.
And after the first year, she let go a lot of the band, including Pete. And
was Pete playing guitar?
No, he was playing steel.
He was?
I don't think he played any guitar.
Oh, okay.
And then for whatever reason.
But she kept you?
She kept me, and she kept Joe, and I think that was it out of that band. Mm-hmm. No, the bass player, Chopper, Charlie Anderson.
And so with your buddy Pete gone, was it, and musically it was a little weird?
It all changed dramatically, and I didn't really bond as much with the new guys.
So how long did you last?
I was in the gig 3.5, 4 years.
Oh my God, that's a long time, man.
And that time for her, that was kind of a record, you know?
Yeah. But good money, probably.
Yeah, the money was good.
Yeah.
The recognition was good. People giving me free guitars all the time, you know.
Ooh, anything cool?
No.
Really? That's too bad.
I'm not going to slander names, but no.
Okay.
Yeah, Chopper and I had a race to see who could get the most free stuff.
So in those days, like, were companies just approaching you probably because they knew that you were one of the big acts touring, and they just wanted you to be playing their stuff. And
Yep.
So you'd get a guitar in the mail.
Pretty much.
Not amps, obviously, because you weren't using any.
No, but I did get some amps. Carvin was really generous with me, and they gave me just a ton of stuff.
But that amp, or the gig never turned into like an amp, normal band thing.
Never.
It was always in-ears. No. Was that like Reba's choice? She just didn't want a loud band kind of thing?
They wanted total control. They wanted the big production. You know, I mean, we had lasers and lights and all that, all the stuff.
Did they want you to jump around like a
maniac? But I've always been a big clumsy guy, so that didn't go so well.
Wow. That lasted until like early mid-90s or something?
94, 95, yeah.
And you quit eventually? Or?
No, she fired me.
She did. Just because musically she could tell you were dragging your heels or whatever?
Yeah. I wasn't a good fit.
Uh-huh. Still, 4 years, man. That's enough.
Yeah. Enough of...
Just the adjustment, though, of you probably got used to like making good dough and being gone a lot.
Yeah.
That would be tricky, right? Like,
it was tricky, and also I felt like I couldn't play when I was done. And I used to...
Like you felt like it got sucked out of you?
Yeah.
Oof.
And I practiced voraciously during that period.
You did? Like hotel rooms? You're sitting
there, hotel or back of the arenas you're stuck in the filthy arena for hours, you know. And I would practice for hours. But when I got out of it, I felt like I couldn't play. It took me probably 6 months to get any confidence again.
Wow. So musically, where did that leave you?
Back to doing sessions.
Mm-hmm. Was there demand? Like, that's hard. That's the thing about Nashville, though. Like, when you start leaving town, you kind of like get shoved off the list.
You
right?
do. But also, I was somebody because I had the big gig, you know.
Was that like the biggest gig?
It was one of them.
It was one of them. Okay.
Yeah, and we tour regularly with Vince. That's where I met Vince Gill. Clint Black. We did a lot with Brooks and Dunn, people like that.
Okay. And so you met a lot of those people
met a lot of those
time.
guys.
Did Vince ever ask you to join his band in those days or anything like that? That seems like it would have been a good fit.
We talked about it, but we decided it wasn't the right thing.
Okay.
And I was ready to be off the road, really, you know.
Okay. And so did you kind of rededicate yourself to trying to get session work at that time?
I did. Yeah. And I started playing jazz again at that point.
Where?
Mostly with friends. Uh-huh. My friend Steve Larios was a steel guitar player and chromatic harmonica player.
Oh.
Played with Slim some, and we'd get together once or twice a week at his house and play tunes. It was the best thing ever.
Was there a jazz club in town at that point?
F. Scott's. And I got to know some of the people there. I got to know Roger and Lori, who run the Nashville Jazz Workshop.
Yeah.
And I still play with them today.
Right on.
Did yesterday, in fact.
Oh, nice.
And great musicians, and when they opened the Jazz Workshop, I started playing there pretty regularly, and I did gigs with B.G. Adair and people like that, and Dennis Soley. All gone now.
Yeah. Eventually, Time Jumpers revealed themselves. That would have been around, 2000 maybe?
99. I started playing with a singer that Harold Bradley was producing named Mandy Barnett.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, his brother was producing her at
Harold
first.
Bradley was still working in 99?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. What year did he die?
He died 5 years ago, I think.
Was he still working
Yeah.
5 years ago? Oh, my God. I didn't
I mean,
realize
not as much, but
Okay.
he was on dialysis towards the end, so it was hard for him.
Yeah.
But he was later on the sessions for Mandy. He brought her over to the house and did some, my little home studio, did some demos for her record on Sire called Right to Cry.
Okay.
And then I played in the showcase band she did. I played tic-tac bass while Harold played lead.
Oh, fun.
And then
Can you just explain the tic-tac bass
tic-tac
technique?
bass, it's a Dan Electro.
It's always a dental electric.
Dan
right?
Electro, yeah. There's a story about that, too. Dan Electro 6-string bass tuned an octave down. It's not a baritone. It's E to E. And it's played with a pick, or round wound strings, sharply muted. So it's almost more percussion than tone.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because you couldn't get that thing in tune to save your life. And it would double the bass line. And that was for back in the days when jukeboxes were popular.
Yeah.
The bass would create a tone, but it wouldn't create the percussive note.
Right. I mean, I always think of it as combined with an upright bass, it is what
Right.
Nashville bass sounded like in
It really
in
was.
the 60s.
And it's a wonderful sound
Yeah.
when it's good.
It's hard.
It's really hard.
And you have to, like,
You have to work out a bass line with the bass player,
note for note,
Note
would you
for
say?
note.
It's like,
piano bass, because the piano would also do it on,
Yeah.
on the low keys.
yeah.
And so was Bob Moore and Harold on most of those records, and Bob hated it. He did not like to be constrained.
Right.
So he would sit there and work out a bass line with Harold for 20 minutes.
And then he'd bail.
The red light would go on. He'd just play whatever the hell he wanted to.
That's awesome.
Bob was great. I got to be good friends with him, too.
Wow.
And so eventually we were playing with the bass player who was definitely not coloring between the lines. I was getting really frustrated. And Harold said, Andy, don't worry about what he's playing. Just play the right thing. Mm-hmm. So that's what I did.
Okay. And that was with Mandy?
With Mandy, yep.
Okay.
So Sire Records was back in there. After that record, we did Letterman, we did Leno.
Oh, wow.
We played Madison Square Garden.
Dang.
And on the way back, and the band was Harold and me, Johnny Cox on steel, Buddy Harmon on drums,
Really?
Ernie Sykes on bass, Hoot Hester on fiddle.
I knew Hoot a little bit.
It may have been Jeff Taylor on piano. And on the way back, we took a bus. On the way back, Hoot and Johnny started talking about this Western swing band they were trying to put together.
Oh.
And I was like, without me, what are you talking about? You're crazy. So they had a gig in
Where?
a place called, I don't remember what it was called, Bellevue Station. It was in Bellevue.
Uh-huh.
And I went out and played, sat in with them, and got the gig.
Yeah.
And that was Johnny Cox, Hoot Hester, Robert Boland playing the other fiddle and some guitar,
Okay.
Kenny Malone on drums, and Dennis Crouch on bass. And I was in the band then, fortunately, and we started playing the Station Inn a couple times, and then
So that Station Inn was early, like it started there quickly.
yeah.
Okay.
But we weren't regular at first. We played
Oh.
3 or 4 times, and then Hoot talked to JT and said, let's do Mondays.
Yeah. And so what year did the Monday start?
Mid-'99.
Dang. And so that went until, when did you move to 3rd and Lindsley?
We did about, I think, 12 or 15 years, somewhere in there.
Every Monday.
Every Monday at
ever miss
Station
one?
Inn. And then I missed a couple, yeah. Not many, though.
Who was playing steel?
Johnny Cox at first. Then he moved to Texas, and John Huey came in.
Oh, wow. John Huey.
Yeah, he was in the band for 4 or 5 years.
Amazing.
Oh, yes. It was amazing. I was in heaven.
Yeah.
And then John left.
Why?
When he died.
Oh, okay.
Good reason to leave a band.
Yeah.
And Paul Franklin came in.
So how did he, like, Paul Franklin would have been just off the road with Dire Straits probably at that time or something, or like,
I think
or was that way earlier?
that was way earlier, I
Okay.
think.
So was he just sort of looking to flex that muscle, and this was a perfect opportunity for him?
Well, Vince had joined the band by then, Vince Gill, because we had John Huey and Don Sears in the band.
Okay, so is this 3rd and Lindsley yet? Or is
No, this is still Station Inn.
So Vince was in the band even when you were playing the Station?
Yeah.
So this is like 2010? or before that?
Yeah, probably before that.
Okay.
8 maybe.
I mean,
I'm not very good at dates.
But Vince Gill showing up reliably at the Station Inn.
It was pretty weird. It was
pretty
amazing.
bonkers.
Yeah, it was bonkers.
Yeah.
Because he'd come in just to hang out, and then if I take off a night, he'd come in and play, or if Ranger Doug would take off a night, he'd come in and play.
So was the lineup, so Ranger Doug was in the band?
Ranger Doug.
Were the fiddle players?
Rick Van All on drums then. Dennis Cross still playing bass. Jeff Taylor playing piano. Hoot and Kenny Sears and Aubrey Haney on fiddle.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know Aubrey was in the band. Okay.
Quite a lineup there.
Yeah.
And John Huey on steel. And Don Sears and Carolyn Martin both singing.
Okay.
And then Vince used to come in all the time. So he finally said, why don't you just join the band? He said, okay.
Did that become, like, I never saw you guys at the Station Inn. Did you just outgrow the venue?
Oh, we did, yeah.
So there would be lineups around the block?
There'd be lineups at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, it got really crazy.
Yeah.
And also, it got really hot in the summertime. It was miserable.
Yeah. And so whose idea was it to move?
I'm not sure who put together
but someone kind of brokered the...
Yeah.
Station Inn was probably a little upset.
They weren't happy about it.
Yeah, dang. Oh, well.
But Third and Lindsley was good. We did really well there.
Yeah.
Ron Bryce, who owns the place, has been really good to us.
And you're still every Monday?
Every Monday.
Who's officially in the band now? What's that piano player's name?
Chris Walters plays piano now, who's an absolute genius.
Yeah, he's incredible.
The fiddle players are Joe Spivey and Justin Branham.
Yeah. So when did Spivey join the band? Because he's been there for a long time.
Not long after Vince joined.
Okay.
Or he may have even been before. Mm-hmm. I get confused on all the chronology. But anyway, Joe Spivey and Justin Branham on fiddles, Ranger Doug, Billy Thomas on drums, Brad Albin on bass. Wendy Moten is our featured vocalist.
Yeah.
The unbelievable Wendy Moten.
Yeah, she's incredible. She's from Memphis?
Yes.
Yeah.
Eddie Dunlap on steel, that's a great story because when we played the Station Inn, his mom used to bring him in when he was a little kid.
Really?
Yeah. But now he's blossomed into an absolute monster player.
Yeah, he sure is. So so with Paul Franklin, did he like that sort of? It seemed like during COVID, things like it really changed. The band seemed to have a shift, right?
Yeah, that was actually when Vince quit.
Mm-hmm.
His BFF died from pancreatic cancer. Amy had a heart attack.
Oh wow! Okay.
And it was just a lot of stress, and I think he was kind of bored with it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I used to go and see you guys, and it seemed like he would roll in off the golf course, like full golf attire sometimes.
Absolutely, it was great.
I liked that about it. It was like he was making a statement that this was like his shits and giggles fun gig,
right?
And he dressed appropriately. It seemed like,
and seeing Vince carrying his own guitar and amp,
yeah. And Paul Franklin.
Yeah.
Yeah, so COVID was sort of the time when that all shifted.
Yeah, everything really changed.
Yeah.
I think we shut down for a few months and came back a different band.
Pretty nice to have a 27-year weekly gig.
It's weird, isn't it? and you don't think about it as being this epic thing. It's just something you do every week.
Yeah. Can you tell me a bit about this archtop? So guitars for you, like I've seen you playing mostly... When I play with you, you play archtop, but with Time Jumpers, you're usually playing either a Les Paul or a 335, I would say. Is that, and are those your favorite electrics?
Yeah, I have the Les Paul I play is a 52.
Wow.
That got converted from the trapeze tailbass to a stop in a
Have you had that a long time?
I've only had that 4 or 5 years now.
Oh, okay.
I guess.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love it. It's like the best guitar ever.
But I saw you playing Les Pauls way earlier than that.
Well, I have a,
You've got a few.
I have a 69 that Harold gave me, actually.
Wow.
It's been through 15 wars. It's been totally modified and changed. It was Mac Aiden's guitar originally. It was
really?
On the cover of an Area Code 615 record.
Wow, cool.
It was a gold top with a most right vibrato. Now it's Sunburst with a master volume and all kinds of stuff. But it's a great guitar.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and Les Pauls with jazz is not a thing that happens a lot, but with you it just seems like such a natural fit. I don't see
whose name is on it.
I know, right? It's just such a rock and roll associated instrument, but really it's like...
It's a really versatile guitar.
Yeah.
And when you get a good one, it just sings. And of course, 1 in 20 is a good one. But
right. So what makes you grab the 335 over the Les Paul on a when you're heading down to 3rd and Lindsley?
It's just my mood, I mean, I'm really lucky that I can take the 59 335 or the 52 Les Paul.
Do you play them any differently?
Yeah, they bring out different things.
Yeah.
I mean, probably very subtly.
Yeah. And so arch tops, like, have you always been fascinated, or is that a more recent thing?
No, I've always been fascinated. The first really good one I had, my friend Nick Schilling, who I went to high school with, sold me a 1963 Gibson Tal Farlow model.
Yeah.
That wasn't that old when he sold it to me. I've had that guitar probably 55 years. And I've always loved arch tops.
What do you love about them? They're so different from an electric, like...
electric arch tops are somewhere in between, but Harold really introduced me to the acoustic arch top thing. He had a magnificent Stromberg Deluxe. That was something, and he had 2 D'Angelicos with consecutive serial numbers, and those guitars just freaked me out. It took me a while to appreciate them, but when I did, I really did.
And as a jazz player, what do you like? Can you show me what you?
Well, the arch top typically is used, for the rhythm guitar, for
like a Freddie Green,
for the Freddie Green thing,
yeah.
And they're like very specific voicings and way of playing, and they even had a specific way of holding the pick that was different.
And what's that?
Well, typically you just do a straight downward thing, but they had a thing where they have the pick at a 90-degree angle to the strings, kind of skating on top. So instead of that, it's...
Oh, so you hear kind of a skid.
It's a different sound.
Okay.
It brings out a little more of the depth of the guitar.
Specifically for studio work, though? Or was that
for
just
live, too.
Okay.
I do that with the Volcano Brothers.
Okay.
Yeah. So
when you do that style, like the Freddie Green style, it seems like it's so bottom 4-string only. Do you ever get up in the...
No, you don't really, because really it's the G string, the D string, and the E string.
Yeah.
They'll play the A string.
Right.
So. And the real reason for that, I think, the middle strings are the only ones that really matter, because that was the space Freddie had in the band.
In the bassy band?
Yeah.
Because there's a piano and
you
there's
have
horns.
the bass on the bottom.
Yeah.
And, the drums are the kick drum and the cymbals, so that's high and low. Piano's high because Basie stayed out of that range. That worked a lot because Basie was almost a condiment player, if you will. He would just play fills and things. He did not play heavy rhythm ever.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And the horns were all above, except for the trombones, I guess.
Yeah.
So Freddie had this one little range where he could put through, and that's how you could hear the guitar.
Okay.
Because it was just, within 8 frets on 2 strings, really. Not a lot of just... kind of thing.
Right. Right. And did you learn that stuff just from listening to those Basie records, or did you kind of like pick it up from Ray Edenton? And
I got it from Harold and Ray Edenton, and listening, of course, but they really taught me the finer points of it.
Yeah.
And those voicings, Harold called them power chords, as opposed to that.
Yeah. Yeah. And were those guys both well versed in this style of playing?
Extremely well versed. Yeah.
Okay. So this guitar is a D'Angelico.
This is a 1944 D'Angelico Special.
Okay.
I'm obsessed with arch tops. I also have a 1939 D'Angelico A1 that I bought from Billy Bird.
Okay.
That Harold had given Billy Bird.
Wow. So it's a Harold guitar.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I have the...
Where do you get guitars like this? Like, you never see them... well, I guess Carter has them occasionally.
Yeah, you can find them around. And there's a couple of arch top specialists. My friend Chuck Nicholson has a store called That Rhythm Man Guitars, and that's where I got this one.
That's not here, is it?
No, he's in South Carolina.
Oh, okay.
And there's also Joe Vinico has archtop.com.
Okay.
Those two guys really specialize in these.
And these are expensive expensive,
They're
right?
extremely expensive.
Okay. And are they going up, or what's happening with them?
No, at one point there was a collector in New Jersey who really brought the price of them up to where the Stromberg, like a Stromberg Master 400 cutaway, at one point sold for $150,000.
Whoa. Okay.
But after he died and kind of that demand left, then like Vince bought that same guitar, I think, for $40,000.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That very guitar.
Yeah. What about Gibson's? Like they made some great arch tops,
Gibson
didn't they?
made some great arch tops.
Like the Lloyd Loar era?
The Lloyd Loar L5s are incredible.
Do you have one of those?
I don't.
Okay.
I had a 31, I think, L4 that was really great, but I traded that on this guitar.
Yeah. You like to wheel and deal.
I do.
Yeah.
And I had a great L7 back in the day that I sold when I got my first, the other D'Angelico.
Uh-huh.
And then I have a Stromberg Master 300 as well.
So is there a noticeable difference between the Strombergs and the D'Angelicos? In what way? Tone-wise?
The D'Angelicos have a really specific, really sweet tone.
Uh-huh.
The Strombergs have their own tone. It's more muscular, more lower midi, very powerful guitars, really project.
Okay. And how do you approach, like, when you're playing rhythm? Like, I know when we play together, you've got this cool thing worked out now, which I get, like Richard was saying, like, it's kind of how they used to do it, a lot of these guys, even in sessions, is they'd play acoustically, into a mic, even on stage, and then for the solos, like when you're playing with us, you've got an amp and you hit the volume pedal, and that makes a lot of sense to me. But is that a common way to approach?
I think it was certainly back in the day. Like this guitar has a floating de-armament pickup, which was very common back then.
Would it have come like that?
I think so.
Wow.
1944 might be a bit early for that, but I'm not sure. But I'm pretty sure it's a factory installation. And that became really the standard for D'Angelicos.
Yeah.
But I remember Billy Bird telling me back in the day he'd play in a dance band, and he would play, I think he had an L7, he would play that for rhythm. And then he always knew when the solo was coming up because they had arrangements. He'd put that down and pick up his ES-150 and play electric
Really?
for the solo, then put it down and go back to the acoustic.
Wow, that's one way to do it. I like your way better.
It's a cumbersome way to do it.
No doubt. So do you have to, like, do you shift how you hold your pick or anything?
Yeah, everything's different.
Like, what happens in your brain when you're going from that to playing a solo?
It's almost like another instrument, really.
Okay.
Because to get the power of the rhythm out of the arch stop, you have to hit it in a very specific way.
Like, how hard are you hitting it when you're playing rhythm?
Not typically really hard, but there's a point where the whole guitar speaks and becomes
That's what you want.
this big thing.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do. It took me a long time to really learn how to do that with a good arch stop.
And that's barking. That's a good sound.
Yeah.
So what about when you're soloing on that guitar? Are you...
The level's going to be this.
Ideally, you're kind of more...
And that's why I went electric with it, because remember, the first few gigs I would try it acoustically, but it just wouldn't cut anymore.
Yeah.
Because you had three strings barking as opposed to one,
Yeah.
and a very different role in the arrangement.
Yeah. And so suddenly it becomes an electric instrument.
Yeah.
Do you shift your pick at all?
Yes. Yeah, I don't do the sideways thing when I'm soloing. I don't think I could. That's awkward.
Oh, that's so cool. Wow. And so where did all the low kind of Freddie Green voicings come from?
Some say Barry Galbraith was the first guy to really do them, and that he taught Freddie, but I'm not sure if that's true or not.
Okay.
But Freddie certainly codified it.
Yeah. And so when you're soloing on that instrument, you're thinking of it differently than if you were playing a Les Paul or a
Yes.
35. Okay.
I mean, for one thing, I've got heavy strings and fairly high action on this.
Okay.
Whereas on the Les Paul, I've got tens and low action. And
Very different.
it's a very different touch.
Yeah. Bending is not an option.
Well, it sort of is, but couldn't do really anything. That hurts.
No Albert King licks. But do you find that you're channeling like Charlie Christian, and like it sounds to me like you are kind of when you go into that mode?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, it's what I've adapted to my own approach to it, of course.
Yeah.
Charlie Christian filtered through me.
Yeah, for sure. And so what other regular gigs have you got now? If people are going to see you play, you've got Mondays still.
Mondays, I play the
first Wednesday every month at Vinyl Tap.
Right. I play at the group called the Original Sunday Nashville Jazz Band or something like that. And we play now at a place called Music Row Bar and Grill every Sunday, 5 to 7:30.
And that's Dixieland.
It's
ish.
Dixieland-ish. It's more early swing, really, than that.
But there's a tenor banjo player?
No.
Okay, there's no banjo. Okay, so it's just you and horns.
I mean, I have a banjo. I've used it on records. I won't use it much if I can avoid it.
Yeah.
I have a beautiful blonde Super 400. I play on that gig mostly.
And what about sessions these days? Do you do many? Do you
I don't get as many as I used to, of course, because I'm old and nobody wants an old guy.
Are you into it?
I'm into it to an extent, you know.
What would make you say yes to doing one?
Well, when people call me to be me, it's pretty good. You know, like I do a fair amount of stuff for Green Hills Music with Pat Coyle and those guys, and it's jazz, but it's jazzy. You know, it's very it's kind of safe jazz, if you will.
Yeah.
But I'm good at that. You know, I've done a lot of stuff with Ronnie Millsap over the last couple of years, doing standards with him.
Oh, cool. I haven't heard that stuff. Like on record?
Yeah.
Wicked.
So people call me to be the commercial jazz guy, if you will, you know, or Western swing stuff. Sometimes somebody makes the mistake of calling me for a mainstream session, and it's never quite as comfortable for me.
Mm-hmm. But would you generally just say no to stuff like that if you kind of got wind of what it was going to be? Or are you game to go in and do it?
I mean, I'm game to go in and do anything pretty much, you know. But my days of wanting to be the chameleon guy who can do anything are over, you know.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is the whole standards of it have changed. You know, everything is so technological now. And I keep a very simple pedal board. I don't like to do a lot of that stuff. Yeah, I helped produce some sessions recently and ended up hiring Tom Bukovac to play electric. And I'm like, I couldn't do that. That's amazing. He's a great player.
Yeah, he's a great player. And how do you feel about Nashville now? Like, I'm always interested in guys like you that came here when it was such a different world.
It is a completely different world now.
Do you feel just out of place here, or do you feel like it's cool? You just have to kind of like...
I mean, I'm starting to feel out of place, and, you know, and part of it's just because I'm an old man, so I get all that stay off my lawn stuff, like QR code parking just really pisses me off for some reason, you know. QR menus in restaurants, all that stuff. It's just so much hassle.
Oh, yeah, it's a huge hassle. But there's still a soul here.
There's still a soul,
you just have to,
but it's going away. You know,
it is kind of, isn't it?
And certainly in our business, Suno and AI are
don't even get me started.
It's destroying demo world.
Yeah.
If you don't start playing demos, how are you going to play on records? And there's another thing I've been seeing where, why pay $1,000 to have a recording session? Pay $250 a month, get as many recording sessions as you want with musicians.
Yeah.
I was looking at that this morning.
Yeah.
And say, how do you pay your musicians? Well, we don't pay them by the piece. We pay them a salary of $45,000 a year, or the equivalent of $45,000 a year, which is not enough money to make a living on here in Nashville anymore.
No, it's not. Yeah.
And if you have to do unlimited recording systems for these guys for that, I don't see how it works.
Yeah, I've heard of that thing too. What's that called?
I forget what it was called. They're advertising heavily on Facebook.
Yeah, they want you to apply.
Yes.
Right? And then they...
you have to get on their wait list. Yeah. And you get a month free. And I mean, we all know about demo mails where you just run through and hack through 1 million songs. That's what this is.
Yeah.
And the deal was you get 30 minutes to record with the session musicians, and then...
But virtually. Like, you're not even in the same room,
You're not
right?
in the room.
Yeah.
And then 15 minutes for the mixing and mastering. 15 minutes to mix and master your song and edit them.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously, you're pretty handcuffed there.
You're going to get shit. It's cheap, but it's going to be shit.
Yeah. That when you think of the process that it used to be and what it used to look like, it's just like, it's not fun either. Like,
no, it's not fun. And when you have to, you know, like I was talking about the session where you do 35 songs, it's not fun.
Yeah.
You're just, you know, I say this, you're selling your craft, not your art, you know.
Right.
And a lot of session work is that way. And it's getting worse, and I don't even really understand why people make records anymore.
Well, yeah, that's a whole other conversation.
And we just made one, but
yeah, damn right. Because I think for a while it is going to be okay still, because people do still like making records. Should they? I don't know. Is there a reason to make a record? I don't know. Is it still fun and awesome to make a record? Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
You bet
it
your ass it is.
But the economic model is gone.
Yeah, yeah. So you have to look at making a record as what it is, which is like, you know, a way to get a festival gig and a way to tour and a reason to tour and whatever. Right. But it's not going to really pay for itself. Yeah, you have to go into it, I think, expecting it to not pay for itself.
I mean, for bands that play live, they can be souvenirs, they can be useful. People still buy them sometimes.
They do, yeah.
But they won't forever.
I don't know.
CDs, you're going to sell CDs? Who's even got a CD player anymore?
I still sell CDs when I go on tour. Like, I'm always like, should I bring CDs anymore? And I sell a bunch of them still. So I think there's people that still are into it.
And that can
CDs actually seem to be coming back a little bit, which is cool. And vinyl seems to be doing okay. Yeah. Vinyl's just a pain in the ass to tour with. Like, as an independent musician,
right?
It's a pain in the ass.
It's heavy. It damages easily.
Yep. For us, it'll be great because we never go anywhere. So. Well, thanks, Andy. This has been really great to have you and interesting to hear some of your tales. I'm glad you could come and do it.
My pleasure.
Music Makers and Soul Shakers is a bi-weekly podcast produced at the Hen House Studio in Nashville, Tennessee. Please remember to subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts and follow us on Instagram and Facebook. You can also find us at makersandShakerspodcast.com. Thanks again to our amazing sponsors this season. We couldn't do this without them. Larrivee Guitars, Chase Bliss Pedals, Fab Filter, Odyssey Headphones, Railtown Mastering, Isotope, and the Hen House Hang. And of course, you for listening. We'll see you next time for another episode of Music Makers and Soul Shakers.